Welcome back then to our next breakout session, which will be about the need for a robust digital methodology, which is a crucial part, of course, in an era where our tools are evolving at a rapid pace, as new collaboration platforms and leading technology can drive progress forward. This session will demonstrate how you can stay one step ahead, think bigger, and create a future where humans and technology work together for the built environment. Please help me welcome CEO Rikard Matson and digital strategist and business manager Christoffer Sundberg from Insikt. Have at it, guys. The stage and the audience are yours.
Thank you. So what if your data wasn't available to you when making future decisions, the right decisions for your properties?
Decisions, right. How many of you in here are married? And of you, how many bend the knee? Only 2 people. Great. Did you have roses also, Max? No. All right. This is a big decision. Digitalize your property is a big decision. Choosing between Revit or ArchiCAD, big decision. Making these big decisions, you need to have good data. The other week, I was browsing the web. For some reason, I ended up at this engagement ring website, and I saw this incredible digital infrastructure. I was curious about the diamonds, and they had 12 different ways of filtering between the diamonds. Having this kind of control over your assets is very powerful. So I showed some parameters, and bam, out go a lot of diamonds. If you look at the bottom there, page 1 out of 8,048 pages of diamond. Having this control over your asset is, for property owners, maybe a dream. So how does it look like for our buildings? Well, in Sweden we have, according to Lantmäteriet, 3.4 million properties today. And according to a survey in 2023, 9 out of 10 properties were not digital, classified by themselves. Over 300 property owners did this survey. So 9 out of 10. And they also had to describe how they are facilitating. And most of them say we have Windows servers, maybe we have a physical drawing archive. We had to have one AI picture. So I asked AI to give me a physical drawing archive with at least one computer with some stuff on it. I don't think it looks that bad. How does it look in reality? This is not AI. Yeah, scary, right? This is an actual picture from a property we're working with at the moment. Original drawings. I like how they have thrown this old box down there and lean the big paper on the left. Not good. Parallel to this, we see technology running faster than ever. It feels like every week is a year. Last week, China was the best at AI. This week, OpenAI is back in business, and USA is the best in AI. Our industry have new platforms, new add-ins all the time.
So if we take the perspective of a property owner, this is usually the case. We have information that's not in a center part of the processes, right? We have information that's duplicated and that is scattered in different systems, serving different processes. Recently, we worked with a client that had 7 different systems with more than 250 overlapping attributes. And when we did a data consolidation of this, we saw that almost all these different attributes had different values. So what data am I supposed to trust? If we're doing a rebuilding project, what data am I supposed to trust if it's scattered like that? So even if whatever drives your change, if it is being more efficient in your operation and maintenance, or if it is driving profit maximization in terms of investing and divesting in properties, or if you just want to be the coolest kid on the block with new technology. We've learned 3 things from the technical perspective that really sets the foundation on how to embrace new technology, and we're going to share them with you right now. First thing will be digital lifecycle infrastructure. We always, or almost always, talk about the digital infrastructure in projects, but here we're taking the property owner's perspective, right? So this is the reality. We have scattered information in different systems that serves different processes, and in some cases we also have different or more than one system for one process, meaning that it's really hard to know what data is the latest data, which one is the most updated and such. What we need to do is to introduce something that we can call a one source of truth. And it's not just any one source of truth, right? This one source of truth need to be able to speak with all the systems that handle data throughout the life cycle of the properties. So it needs to be able to both direct information to where it's needed, but also when the information is being updated in one of these processes, it needs to loop back to the one source of truth to be able to distribute that into the other systems. So introducing an object database or an asset database, no news, right? But how do they really work? So let's get a little bit nerdy and jump into one. So it consists of a few crucial parts that's really, really needed. First thing would be source files. So you put your Excel spreadsheets, your Word documents, PDFs, drawings, BIM models of different formats. You put that into the object database, and the object database actually starts to unpack that information into database objects. And this is the cool thing, because now we're actually moving the one source of truth from the source file into the object database. So that's now become the one source of truth. All these database objects have information, and all of that can be then directed to different and external facility management systems where we work with the data. So we're not working with a lot of data in the object database, it's just a hub. That data is then becoming updated, of course, and then we loop that back into the database objects. The magical thing here is that the information looped back into the object database, they can actually also update the source files. So it raises the question, can we use native formats as source files? Because when doing rebuilding in projects, we really want to use native formats. Of course, all of this information is then being structured in a certain way. There are standards. We can talk about that. It's always nice to have a viewer to see whatever is in there. But then also on a consolidated level, be able to analyze your data really in real time through the object database. Second thing would be the digital springboard. And what do we mean by that? Well, there's one process out of all these that stands out in terms of the opportunity to create structured data. And that is, of course, rebuilding in projects. So this is where we create a lot of data, and this is where we are able to structure that data, not only for the purpose of the project, but also for the purpose of the property owner. So if we had an object database, how would this work? Well, we need to check out data, right? So we check out the data that's available, which may perhaps be technical property data, perhaps a geometry. We need to make sure, is that up to date? And how do we know if it's up to date? Is it in a usable format, or is it in a format that we need to convert? That takes a lot of time. So we get that into the hands of the design teams. We start working with the project, and this is where we create a lot of data. So we're on with schematic design, detailed design, the production phase. We're structuring the data we use to structure data for the specific needs of the project, right? But what if we could use pre-filled structures and templates that the data can be structured in such a way that it actually fits the database, the object database of the property owner? When the project is done, it's time to validate the data structure and check that into the object database. So if I'm a property owner, what can I do really to make sure that this happens? And what can I do to help this? Well, first of all, we've been mandating information deliverables for so many years now. And it's not usual that we get the thing that we actually mandated, right? So why don't we start to mandate the process instead? Why don't property owners really take control of the process in the projects as well? If we did, we could also mandate specific platforms. I'm not saying we should choose one platform for a specific need. We can have multiple. But if we choose and also mandate platforms, we can also use templates, pre-feed values to structure that data, and so that that becomes more intuitive to the design teams and contractors. So if we zoom in a little bit more, getting a tad more nerdy, if we had an object database, what we do is we export the BIM models from there. They should be in the native form. It's geometry and information, but we can inject parameters into the BIM models that are directly connected to the object database. Meaning that when we work with information in the projects, we're actually working with the information stream that fits directly into the life cycle of the building. Next thing would be databases. So we have a unique opportunity here to take all these technical requirements on how to design the buildings into databases that actually speak with the design softwares. Getting the requirements in the hands of the design teams, not in PDFs, but actually in the native format that you're working with information, it's so much easier. There is a possibility also here to, of course, connect all that into the object database so we can validate this over time. We can validate this before the FM handover. Of course, content, information, and geometry, we can push that out too, but that's another chapter. It will take me another hour. Project platforms, same thing here. If we use templated information, we can also control both the process and we can control the data structure. Cool thing about this is we can automate validation of information. As a property owner, I can now see that the process of this project actually goes the way that I want it to. Fourth thing, requirements and mandates. I mean, first of all, having information delivery specifications is great, but I'm really getting tired of all the Excel spreadsheets that tells me what attribute, what information should I have on what attribute, on what component, in what category, in what stage of the project. It's good to have it, but it takes a lot of time to consume that and to really embrace that. If we use information directly connected to the object database, we can push these ones out directly into the softwares of the design teams. So, third thing, levels of digitalization.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. When property owners have their buildings in their servers and in their physical archive maybe, it's hard to understand at which level of quality you have regarding digitalization. So moving into a more digital environment for a property owner, you need to have some sort, or at least we have seen that you need to have some sort of classification system to get a grip of the properties, but also to let your organization understand the level of digitalization. You need to speak the same language. This is one example that we have seen. It's 5 levels. It's pretty technical, but let's just move through them quickly. So a lot of property owners are at level 1 or 2, where you have your scan document, your physical documents, your maybe some area information, maybe it's not correct, maybe it's different in those scattered platforms, and contracts, operation and maintenance documentation. The second level, 2D vector-based CAD files on your properties. But they are also correct. Only reaching that level, correct as-built CAD-based underlays for your property, that's pretty good. Moving upwards to the third level, we've seen big advancements in reality capture field. Point clouds and 360 panoramas are being made quicker than ever at a cheaper price. SLAM-based technology are coming. We see in a lot of public bidding that the prices are going down a lot on these areas. The other day we saw a region in the middle of Sweden, I'm not going to say who, that was surprisingly low. We couldn't quite understand how low they went on reality capture. But producing those point clouds and producing 360 panoramas, both partially for level 3 or the whole building at the 4th level, brings a lot of value. You can visit your building, you can measure, you can also start to build those building information modeling. And you have at the 4th level also all complete, correct as-built model of the property. 5th level, most systems today, when you buy new, if it's HVAC or if it's from Schneider Electric or something else, you get a lot of IoT baked in today. But start to connecting that sensor data to the object database and to visualize it. When you're reaching that level, you are at the 5th level. This is just an example. We've seen a lot of other examples, 7 levels, 10 levels, digital twins, digital cousins, digital siblings, you name it. But what's important, I think, is to find your organization's classification systems. Let's zoom in a bit on those building information models. So what happens when you have pretty good control over those? Here you see a few examples that we work with. Those contains a lot of building components. If we have done this in the right way, as Rikard is telling us, with the mandates, the requirements, the naming, the classification, good thing happens. I had a project last week that asked us if we can bring they were going to do some acoustic plastic film laminating stuff on the windows. So like how many square meters of windows of glazing do we have on the whole building? Can we get that from the model that you scanned and you model and so on? Yes, we can. Let's look at the windows category. Let's bring those in. Let's filter the whole building on the windows. Let's see what they are made of. Let's bring out the materials in those. Let's take a quantitative takeoff on the glazing materials connected to windows. And we get 248.2 square meters of glazing. Done in a matter of minutes. Saving time, saving money. He said, wow, that's amazing. I was just about to open this 2D-based platform and start drawing my field regions and doing some Excel stuff. But thanks a lot.
The cool thing about that example also is that that can be done without even opening the BIM model if we use a real asset database. So what's the return on investment? What should I look for? Should I try to, strive for level 5 of all my properties, or, where should I end up? And I think that you'll find if you analyze what information gives what value in what process, and also which system does that, contain, you're gonna find that it's not everything. Don't become a person that says I want it all. Become a person that really understands what information gives what value. Also, what's the cost of retrieving that information and also keeping that up to date? Because keeping a geometry up to date when you're moving walls and windows and doors, for example, that's one cost. Keeping other parts updated is another cost. So analyze what gives you value. I mean, if you're investing in properties on short term or if you're investing in properties on long term, what gives you value? Create a long-term strategy on company level and really find your equilibrium on, profit maximization of your data at the lowest cost. And if we've done that, please help the product managers. Rebuilding in projects is a great way to build your data. There's also other ways, but it's a great way to build your data and help your project managers to understand. If I'm doing a rebuild of a 10-story building, I'm only rebuilding story number 1. Should I scan and model the whole place in this specific project, or should I not do that? Use your money wisely. All right, so to wrap up, key takeaways that we learned throughout the years, I'd say that as a property owner, please don't be scared to get into the project process. I know we all know the facility management processes, but keep trying and keep getting into the project process. It's not that hard. You can control the information from the center, the heart of your one source of truth.
And compare also, enable comparing our data throughout your whole process, and use the rebuilding phase. It's hard to you can't digitalize everything at the same time. We found that it's quite cheap to use the project and the rebuild phase to increase the level of digitalization. Yeah, but is it this easy? There are a lot of other things also. We pointed out 3 things now, but still there are hard questions, Rikard, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, if you've done this and you've analyzed what data creates what value for you in which process, and you've done that, you've done your homework, there are a few questions that you need to think about, and they're quite hard. First one being geometry. If we decide on the unbroken chain of information throughout the building's lifecycle, what do we do about geometry? Geometry, should we do geometry conversions when we start a new project? Or should we mandate specific formats? Or should we recreate geometry when we start a new process?
How do I know if my digital twin is up to date? It's hard. Many properties are based on people knowing the property. People has been in the property. A lot of property companies have one person connected to the property. They know the property the best. So it is hard, and people leave, people retire. So before you go out and do those rebuilding projects, make sure you really talk about this. What does the gut feeling say? What does the actual data say? We saw a project recently that had, we measured between the old drawings versus the new ones after scanning and modeling, that had 28% off. They thought we were going to enter the project with the old drawings, but they did it after we did it, and we compared those, and it was 28% off. And that's a lot.
In this specific project, they also thought that their data was updated, right?
Yeah, they thought. It was like, yeah, I know over there's some offices that are not correct, but otherwise it's pretty good. No. They thought they had 1,000 rooms. It was actually 1,400 rooms in that building.
Another usual thing is that you don't usually talk about how do I keep my data updated. We talk about how we retrieve data, how we create data, but how do we keep it updated? And as I said before, it's different in terms of of the different data, of course. So if we've laid this foundation, where do we go from here? What can we do today?
Yeah. I think we need to start somewhere. We need to start with those 3 fundamental things we've seen: to structure your data, create better data, which goes for better decisions.
Ultimately.
Yeah. And what about tomorrow?
This is actually a thing that triggers me a little bit. I've scanned the industry on facility management systems, and it's 2025, and I cannot really believe that we don't have automated predictive maintenance. We have all the data. We have the data on the HVAC systems, the warranty times on pumps. Why can't the system tell me I should inspect my pumps before my warranty goes out? Why do I need to put that in to my maintenance plan? Or we do have a lot of weather data. I mean, I bet that we can predict how much sun hours and how much rain is going to affect this building or this specific facade. And we also know the materials used in that facade and how that was treated in the production phase. So why cannot the system tell me, when should I buy the materials? When should I do what? And if we connect that to national economy, it should be able to also tell me when should I do what investment. So if we do this, if we lay the foundation of this, we can truly embrace new technology. And I think that using AI and such is we're talking about this as we can use AI later, but AI is also a great tool for actually getting your structured data in order as well. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Why you asked the question, so I need to ask you the question. How come the systems that you're talking about at the end of your speech, why aren't they there already?
I don't know. I'm actually a bit triggered about this.
Why don't you create them?
Sorry, when we will create them?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me the summer and think about it. No, but really, I think that mindset of people in the facility management phase of life cycle of building doesn't really think about the project like that. They just want to hand the keys over to the design teams and contractors and do your thing, build your data, and then we'll work in our different systems here. And I also think that's the case with the systems and the software developers as well. Dare to get into the project process and dare to take control over your data. Then you'll see a lot of opportunities.
Okay. Thanks. You guys will stick around for the rest of the day.
Definitely.
Yes.
Talk to them if you want to know more about this and discuss those questions. Thank you for being with us for the moment. Thank you so much.